Man, come on, ride with me. I'm waiting on a few people to come on and address a few things been going on around the state as far as MDOC is concerned. You know, everything's out and open. I think that people need to go back to the drawing board with the structure of way MDOC is being run right now. I think that people need to, the public, meaning us and people in general, need to start holding these people who are running our prisons accountable. We can't keep letting our young men and women die inside of prison and let staff do what they want to do to infringe upon the rights of other staff and offenders alike, in the sense that they have too much unfettered power. One of the things I want to talk about first is I want to pray for the family of the young man, Terry Young, that committed suicide at East Mississippi. If it was a suicide at all, there's so much happening. You know what I mean? That I think that, you know, we need to first address that suicide. Up there was a young man, he was from Memphis, but he caught his case in DeSoto County. And it's alleged that he committed suicide Friday night. Anyway, it's a shame that, you know, an offender has to call a family member to get the people to check on them, to check on their loved ones. If they found out that their loved one had passed away through somebody who's inside, before the staff notifies the family, and or if they're even notified, you know, in a timely manner. Today, you know, as everybody knows, I'm sure, it's alleged that an inmate escaped Saturday morning before day, probably about 4 in the morning, sometime between 4 and 5 in the morning. And it was just made known to the public today. So you got people in Sunflower County, Bolivar County, Tallahassee, you know, all the cities that surround that, you know, who could be in danger of somebody who had a mandatory 61 years, according to the system. If you look on the internet, it says it has 54, but he had a mandatory 61 years. And he escaped. And then the public is not told until today, to later today. You understand? How did you go through Saturday's count, all day Saturday count, all day Sunday's count, to find out today, this morning, that someone is missing? And then what's your protocol? Running to the fire. Running to the fire after the building has burned down is a little bit too late. When we have offenders who have access to keys that are going to open the doors and let another person out, you know, based on whatever relationship they have within prison or whatever. I think that staff, you know, one thing I was trying to tell them when Haywood was there, there's so much pressure from offenders who are there to get staff to do things, and they threaten them with violence, but you didn't want to believe him when he tell you. But now the same thing that happened again, but this time it resulted in an escape. Now I've been calling Mr. McCoy, Deputy Warden Wren, or Deputy Superintendent Wren, Mr. Hunt, and everybody I can, because there's an offender who's out of state, and his family, who's from out of state, and his family has been calling me and telling me that the man he's been there locked up over 2 months. He doesn't have a mattress and or linen on his bed in the same unit, in the exact same unit that the guy escaped from. You know what I mean? So you told me that you was going to take care of it last week, and his family called today and said the man still doesn't have any linen. So in the midst of everything that's going on, you don't have an opportunity. You know the building is cold because so many of the windows are out. But yet and still, you want to keep on infringing upon the rights of the people who are in Unit 29. And I know a lot of you guys think that I be on here just talking, but most of the time, man, like, I've walked in these guys' shoes, so I understand and feel their pain. When you give certain people the right to parole, and when you give certain people power to infringe upon other people, and those people are doing wrong themselves, whether it's at CMCF, you know, with you having your own, with you having your officers to shake down people who you know are not doing anything, and if you're going to shake down a person's property, that person has to be in your presence. You know what I'm saying? Or when you accuse somebody of something, you can't make accusations about people when you don't have any legitimate proof. And being an offender, most of the time they're going to tell on people just for the sake of them getting a time cut or getting moved to another institution, or some of the kickbacks that they give each other. Some of the kickbacks that staff give offenders who run and rat and tell on other individuals. Man, he's still a rat. You know what I mean? He's gonna pull himself off that glue trap, and that's all he's gonna do is tell on somebody else. So you got a young man he's a transfer prisoner from West Virginia. You got him way in Mississippi, where his family have to come here to try to see him in 29L building, but you won't even give him a mattress. I'm not saying, make him seem like a 5-star stay, but give him what he deserves and what he needs. If he needs a blanket, then give him a blanket. If he needs a mattress, why you got somebody sleeping on cold steel? You know what I mean? When your dog even has a pillow or a pad where they sleep on down there, your canine dog got a pillow that he sleeps on. You know what I mean? They got a dog house, where it's warm in the wintertime. But yet and still, you won't give a man who's been already sentenced by the court. Your job is not to punish him to further punish him. Your job is to ensure that he gets rehabilitated and or gets the things that he needs every day. Be it 3 meals, linen, a shower, and everything. You got guys at East Mississippi, man, and Walnut Grove that hadn't had a shower in 2 weeks. Their excuse is that they've been short-staffed. If you're short-staffed, then send them off to another institution where you have enough staff. Don't punish the guys and people who are there. You know what I'm saying? So, but, it's like when the guy escaped from CMCF, you didn't notify the community in Pearl and everywhere until the guy had been caught almost. In the community around the prison at CMCF in Pearl, they were outraged because they didn't tell anybody. They didn't sound the horn. They didn't do anything. I'm sure MDOC has a horn where they can sound and let the surrounding communities know that somebody has escaped. You know what I'm saying? So what if he's in Tutwiler right now? You know what I mean? And he's escaped. You're just not telling him today. But between Saturday morning and now, ain't no telling how many people that he could have killed. You know what I'm saying? So all these instances keep happening. I told you, a superintendent only got so many times that somebody should be able to F up on his watch, and he should be removed. How is it that you done had 3 deaths within the last year? You done had a few suicides there at MSP. Yet and still you at the helm. And now Major Medical is not going to do you any good because you weren't on Major Medical when the guy escaped. So you weren't even taking the Major Medical is not going to save you from the backlash that should come. So I want to know whose heads are going to fall. Nobody's failed at CMCF when the guy escaped. Nobody was held responsible. Okay, it happened. That's it. So now I want to know today, since Mr. Triggs has escaped, and he was given the key, he was let out of his cell by another offender who had access to the keys. So whose heads is going to fall? It's going to be there was no deputy warden. How you got deputy wardens at Unit 30 when Unit 29 is your high-risk prisoner? Why there's not a deputy warden there overnight to work there at the prison? But you got them at 30, you got them at 26. So why you don't have them at Unit 29? You know what I'm saying? And if they left the door open and the officer had to leave, I don't know if he had a body, a dummy body in the cell or whatever went on. However, if you had to lock their door back, you don't think that you should have called and went over and did a skin check or a breathing check to see if that offender was still alive or if he was even there? It's obvious that he wasn't there because he's been missing since Saturday morning, about 4 o'clock Saturday morning, and got double perimeters at 29L building. Those of you who were there, those of you who worked there, you know that they got a fence around the building with razor wire on top of it, and they got a perimeter fence on the outside, allegedly with dogs in it. So how did he get out that building? Unless he got to the kitchen to where they got a tennis gap in between the fence to where a person could get through if he got back by food service or the kitchen. Or when the food come in, was it a time? Was it a planned, orchestrated thing to where multiple staff were involved? You know what I mean? Because of peer pressure or whatever. I don't know, man. So I'm just thinking, like, what kind of leadership that you have where the superintendent won't speak to your staff, but you want to hold them accountable and try to blame everything on somebody who looks like me. You know what I mean? When you're the one at the top and you want to have a meeting, you want to go out and check on them. You know what I mean? What's up, Sean? Another thing I want to mention today, man, a good friend of mine that she and I passed out packages on in 2021 for Father's Day. We did the whole 29 with packages for Father's Day. You know, she passed away today. She was a big pillar in the reentry community. Her name was Sinatra Freeman. If you look on my page, you'll see it. You know, I don't know what happened. A good friend of mine sent me the obituary today, and that's a big loss, man. She and I worked with Dream Corps. We did some things in Mississippi. You know, we hadn't done anything in the last few years, but still, you know what I mean? That's a big loss to us. That's just a side note on a sidebar. You know what I mean? So I want you to pray for the family. If you can Google it, Sinatra Freeman. Some of you people who were at Parchman, we came, we gave all the guys candy, soap, socks, a whole gift bag, you know what I mean, for all the fathers, for all the men who were there at 29, just like I feed 29 for Thanksgiving, who were doing our Father's Day thing there. So I was just thinking, man, around the state, period, you know, we have so many things going on, and with the restructuring and how they took the superintendent and gave him more responsibilities when the house that he was running was not in order. So how can you give them more prisons like Walnut Grove and all the other prisons in the North half, just like you give Brad Huffman the southern half of the state? You got a lot of issues down there at Wilkerson County. You had 13 people that OD'd Saturday. Between Saturday and Sunday, you had 13 people to OD on fentanyl between Saturday and Sunday. Man, what is going on in our state? Are you not paying officers enough? And then how are you masking? How are you fooling the public like you have enough staff hired when in fact that you have
Man, I'm so sick of how lazy
how you have
it's crazy. The state is
your staff, you're giving case managers and other personnel security pins to fool the state. Like if you have enough officers, that you have enough officers working. These people have not went through officer training. They came in as a case manager and they're in security pins. So if somebody was to go on the website and look and see how many staff, it would appear that the state is not understaffed. When in fact, that the state is down several hundred officers, you know, that should be working. So you got them and you got case managers, security pins, you know what I mean? So that you can say to the legislature, I have enough staff at MSP, I got enough staff at CMCF, I got enough staff here at CMCF. You're working these officers, but you won't let them get in the overtime because you feel like Brock Owens that they shouldn't make, that a security staff shouldn't make more than you when he's willing to work 7 days a week if you need him, when he's willing to work extra hours and you need him, but you want to call him in and pay him comp time. Nobody want to come in and work comp time. Why are you worried about what an officer make if he comes in, if he's coming in doing the job like he's supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? And how are we still letting the incidents of nepotism go when we have people, family members, and they're in close relationship, work for each other, work with each other, and work for each other. There's no way that a person should be, that I should be a supervisor, and my daughter, my son, my wife, or anybody else, cousin or whoever, should be working under me and I'm their supervisor. You know, that shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? That's a strict violation of state law and MSP law. You know what I mean? But they're not doing anything about it. So I just want to see, I just came over to see, just to put on notice whose head is going to fall behind this. How long was he gone? What's the real reason how he got out? You know what I mean? And stop fuzzing the numbers and stop telling the public when people get killed that they died of natural death or they died of suicide. You know what I mean? Just to show, just to cover you in the sense that when you have 3 murders, then it's time for a superintendent to go. So I don't think this time, sir, Major Medical will help you. You know, Batman, I think that you are the brunt of the problem, and that you're solely responsible because you're the head. So I want to see what the people at the top do about you running that institution. Whose head are you going to make roll before you surrender your throne? I think it's time for you to take it, go back to probation and parole, and do what you were doing there, which was nothing, which is infringing upon the right and overcharging people for being on parole. So I just think that it's time that we get a change at MDOC just so we can see some changes. You know what I mean? And give the people what they want. Every time you see videos, man, with people, every time it rains, all the units are flooded, still at MSP. So I just think that it's time, man, that we start holding people accountable for the amount of people that are dying, for the incidents of escape all across the state, for you not notifying the public in a timely manner in the system that you have. You're not training people how to count, and you're not holding them responsible. There's no legitimate chain of command, and that starts at the top. So when people at the top are not ensuring that the people that work for them are properly trained, man, we're going to have chaos. And when you have chaos in prison, you're going to have a lot of violent death, you're going to have a lot of drug overdoses, and you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be leaving. And the people that want to work, you'll find any small thing to relieve them of their duties. You know what I mean? We are in the Mississippi Delta, and people have to travel a long way just to get to Parchman. It's not like it's around a major city like CMCF or some of the other ones, or Marshall County. You know, Parchman is a unique prison on its own, man, where it sits on 18,000 acres in the middle of nowhere. You can go out the back gate, and 6 miles you're in Shelby. You know, 7 or 8 miles you're in Mount Bayou. You can go to the north. In a few miles you're at Tutwiler. You know, in 10 or 12 miles you're at Tutwiler. But that's a long way for somebody to have to commute and to come in and put up with the BS that you're consistently putting them through on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and on a monthly basis. You know what I mean? Yet and still, you want to misappropriate funds. Like, okay, I understand that you're from West Point. I understand that West Point has had a good football team the last few years, but that still doesn't give you the right to bring a school in and feed them after a football game. When they played Cleveland Central, not this past Friday, but last Friday, for you to bring the West Point football team in and feed them at the place is a direct misappropriation of state funds. Did they bring their own food and you cooked it? Still against the law. Did you feed them the state food that was designated to the club? It's still against the law. However you did it, and however you were able to bring them in and feed them. Congratulations on their win. You know, I got a nephew that plays on that team, but congratulations on their win. But the fact that you think that you're above the law, state law, federal law, that you can bring a football team in and feed them at the place is utterly ridiculous, and nobody holds you accountable. Did the superintendent know? Did the parents of the students know that you brought them inside of a prison and fed them at the place after a football game? You know, so I think that everything starts at the top. And today, man, today, it's a bad stain on you at the top. Batman, for somebody to escape on Saturday at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the public just found out today on a Monday morning. You know, like I said, major medical is no excuse for you not to surrender your throne and go back to where you came from, probation or parole or whatever. You know what I mean? So I just think it needs to be a change of the guard at the top. And that's like ASAP. Another thing, with the people, you ladies from the Reentry Academy at CMCF, yeah, I know the pictures were sent downtown of you being on the clock, you're out getting your nail done, you're out in the mall shopping, so you're stealing time off the clock, but you want to complain about everybody else. Yep, I'm talking about you, all you women that work at the Reentry Academy at CMCL. So how are they still going to give you a slap on the wrist when you're still in time? When you're out sitting at the beauty shop getting your hair done, when you're out at the mall Christmas shopping, when you clocked in and you went back out and you're going shopping on state time. You know what I mean? Hey, does Shad White know about that? You know, so what is it? You want to take my taxpayer dollar and get your hair done on my time, on all the Mississippi people's tax time? You know, so I think that's man, y'all running out of lies. You still stealing. Stop stealing from us in the state, man. And then people who are in charge, Brock Owens, I know you know, so you didn't do anything to them other than make them come in and let you know where they were at a particular time or at a certain time. So what about the violations they committed? Come on. That's just something, man, I want to talk about. That's all. You know, how we keep letting these people who don't look like me get away with all this this funny activity, these funny activities around. You know what I mean? How? So I just think it's time, man, that we start holding people accountable. And I think today is a prime example. With this weekend, with the 13 deaths, with the 13 ODs at Wilson County, with the suicide that happened at East Mississippi, with the young kid from Memphis, and the escape that happened Saturday but wasn't found out about today. I think it's time for an overhaul, man. And it should come from the top of these institutions, with Brock Owens, with Brad Huffman, you know what I mean? And with Batman here, you know. I think it's time for him and the Mrs. Catwoman to move on. Yes, baby, you sing the blues for Daddy? So that's all, man. I just wanted to touch on that. I just want to pray for the family of the young man that committed suicide. Now, I understand the weight of incarceration is a big thing, you know, that I did 20 plus years myself, 2 decades and 3 years, you know, myself. So I understand that there's going to be some time, man, that where it's going to get hard, especially between Thanksgiving and New Year's every year, where you know you get to miss family and stuff like that. But when you have an institution that won't even give you a mattress, that won't even get rid of the mold in your cell, or won't fix the leaks when it's raining, or won't fix the windows and stuff, so that, you know, when it's cold in the rooms and stuff like that, you feel like that you're lost and alone, man. I just want you to know that God is standing there with you in those trenches, man. And it's going to get rough sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but just, man, get on your knees and pray. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people out here that are fighting for you, with the Hope Dealers, myself, the Reinvention Center, and a lot of other organizations that are fighting for you in the situation that you're in. But you got to fight for yourself. You can't sit around every day and sit in the cell and let people continue to oppress you. You have the biggest power. You're the one that's cooking food every day. You're the one that's driving the cycle and driving the trucks and hauling inmates all across the institution. So you're the one that's running the institution. But they're getting paid for it. They're getting paid to babysit. There are only a few staff, man, that actually get in and do work and do things like they do. One of them, my sister, you know, I appreciate her coming on here, Ms. Johnson. You know what I mean? So it's a few. It's only a few like that. The Charlie Thompson and stuff like that. People don't like them. But one thing I know is that they treat people fairly on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So when you continue to be like some of the people at CMCF and infringe upon staff members and inmates' right, or be like our leadership there at MSP, to where you only think that your people that look like you, that's a different color than me, are privy to certain things that other people are not. And you got other people that are qualified in the unit at 28, at 26, that are able to teach school and teach reentry, but you won't give them an opportunity to work or do anything. Yet and still, the people at 28, you're making them work in your factories, and you're charging them rent. How you going to charge a man rent to live when the state has sentenced him to a term of incarceration? But just because you give him a job at MagCorp, you want to charge him rent and make him sound accomplished. Oh yeah. When he's a good employee, they're going to treat them bad. You know what I'm saying? They're going to treat them bad, Nicole, and then they're going to make sure, they're going to ensure that they don't get any more like that. You know what I mean? What's up, brother? How you been doing, Stat? You know, so I just think that, man, we just need a complete overhaul, oversight on our reentry. You know what I mean? When you had people that were doing reentry, the way it should be done, and you take their program and try to model it, but you need 5 people to do the thing that one man who was formerly incarcerated was doing, I think that we have a problem. And then today, when you think that in today's time, when you have 5 people from the same department, your so-called reentry academy, all of you are out shopping and on state time and riding around to the beauty shops and everything, so you just touring Jackson. You just come in, you draw a check every month. You know what I mean? Man, praise God, man. We need to get together, man. I'll be that way in February. So we need to get together, Stat. So ASAP. So reach out to me, brother. So I just think, man, with all that offenders go through, from trial to the judicial system, to getting sentenced and getting sentenced, especially on the state level. You know, I happen to go do Fed time, which people think that it's a whole lot different. It's not much different than Fed time. Time is time no matter where you are. And it depends. You can either do time or let time do you, or you have to make the adjustment that you're not going to be the person that you were when you came in. So internally, I made the decision not to be the person that I was even though I went to prison for a crime I didn't commit. You know what I mean? Okay, all right, brother. Even though I went to prison for a crime I didn't commit, I was still doing some things that were not legal in the streets. And even though I had retired from the game and left the game, the Fed saw fit. What's up, soldier? The Fed saw fit to still incarcerate me for sure. You know what I mean? The Fed saw fit to lock me up for a charge from 1995 in 1996 and gave me 33 years as a first-time offender. I wasn't a first-time criminal, but I was a first-time offender. So I had been doing things that I had not got caught for. So some people would say that that's justice deferred. I don't see it that way. If I made the conscious decision to stop poisoning my people and to get out and walk a straight and narrow, then you shouldn't come back and charge me for what they call relevant conduct, or what somebody else in prison who was already sentenced said that I'd done in 1995. But long story short, man, I received a 33-year sentence, 400 months on March 4th, 1997. I got out January 10th, 2020. You know, that's 23 years. That's 23 years. I had some rough days. I lost a son. I lost a wife. Lost a son before I came home. My wife lost my mom. 2 brothers and 2 sisters during my incarceration. Not counting the friends that I lost inside and the friends that I lost outside. So you lose a lot. There's a lot of trauma going through that situation. And I don't think that people realize how much a person is damaged by going through incarceration. So either you're going to man up, like, you know, some of my brothers who are on here, like Sean, from Milwaukee, like he did, like Stet, like myself, like George, and so many of the brothers who are on here. If you don't find growth in your situation, then you're going to be like some of the people, the men and women who are still incarcerated, waiting on their opportunity to be free. But you got a lot of people that come to prison and think that they're coming to prison to learn how to be a better prisoner. So they're doing the same thing that they were doing before they came to prison. Because, truth be told, the same thing that's on the street is in prison. I'm talking about alcohol, some of the best alcohol. Somewhere right now, somebody's drinking some Patron, some Hennessy, some Crown, right now in prison. Somewhere today, they're cheating on the best weed somewhere in prison. They're smoking the best meth, and they got fentanyl, spice, and everything else. But it's still a choice that a man or a woman makes while he's incarcerated to change. Some people use it as a coping mechanism. That's a whole nother issue. Some people use it, how can I say it, as a means to hustle, because in Mississippi, they don't pay you anything. Well, now they pay a few people a few things, but in the past, from the 1800s up until 2021, people who were incarcerated in Mississippi didn't earn one dime for being incarcerated. So that puts a lot of burden on the family, you know, of the incarcerated. So I think that a man is going to survive. If you will survive on the street, then when you go to prison, you're going to learn how to survive, but it's how you choose to survive. Me, I chose to make cards and make dinners and cook on Sunday, as opposed to selling heroin or any type of drugs in prison, because I felt like I had done enough damage in the streets to my community by selling drugs. So I didn't want to be that person anymore to poison my community or be a detriment or a thorn in somebody else's side who was trying to live right. So me coming home in 2020, which my out date was 2029, by the grace of God, I got out in 2020, and 7 months later, having the opportunity to go back in with a great bunch of guys, Ron Olivier, you know what I mean, who did 2 decades in Angola, George King, who did 2 decades at Angola, and Sidney DeLoach, who did 40 years at Angola, you know, with Chaplain White, with a group of men that had changed inside and wanted to come out and exact change here in Mississippi. I thought it was a great program, but I thought it was a thing to where a lot of people who were already in place didn't want to see that change, simply because they felt like, because we had been in prison, that we weren't smart enough, we weren't committed enough to want change in the state of Mississippi. But the thing is, no matter what we were, we didn't see the place. What's up, bro? We didn't see the place that we were. We saw the men that we wanted to change. So we came up with a plan to how to morally change people and how to change people through re-entries in different programs and to bring a sense of change to the state of Mississippi. But it's so crazy, man, how the whole Jim Crow mentality gets infected, and in the blood, man, there's bad blood at Parchman. Because for so long, they've divided us with that Jim Crow mentality to where we're not supposed to help our brother because we're, you have to be the person, if you're black and you got a black offender, you got to be the person to oppress that person, or somebody who doesn't look like you. So instead of you wanting change for him and to ensure that he has the thing that he needs while he's incarcerated, and for him to prepare himself upon release, then you want to oppress him. You want to help the system oppress him after they have already framed him. Look how many people, man. More people have been exonerated on Mississippi death row in the last 20 years than anywhere else. Man, look at it. Curtis Flowers, Sherwood Brown. Look at all the men who have been incarcerated. The ones whose sentences have been commuted, they've been given life sentences. There are probably a few men over there on death row now in Mississippi that are still, that are innocent. Justin Underwood, a few of them, Pickett, you know what I'm saying? That shouldn't be in prison now because the prosecutors have been prosecuted in their counties. But yet and still you hold them on death row for something that, you got so many, the system in Mississippi seeks to put us in jail simply because they want the number. There's no shortage of people that's on parole in the state of Mississippi. You look at all the charges that disenfranchise us and we're not able to exercise our right to vote. So whether it's a political ploy to keep us from being able to vote for ourselves or participate in the legal process or in the change or in the government or in the community, you know, for whatever it is, I think that you as an incarcerated individual have to search out your right to, even though I know that there's no legal library, yeah, you got to advocate for yourself, man. If you're incarcerated, man, you got to advocate for yourself. There are people out here that will help you, but you can't sit around and complain and blame the system. You got to get up off yourself, man. You got to get up off yourself, file your grievances, and stick together. I'm not saying go on a strike or anything. I'm not saying commit any violence where you hurt anybody. I just think, what's up, soldier? I just think that we as men and women who are incarcerated in the state of Mississippi need to stand up, man. You got people fighting and trying to get you stuff that work there who are formerly incarcerated, but you won't even stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? You make parole, you know you're going home, but you won't even ask the people to get your social security card, your birth certificate, your resume. You know what I mean? You got to get that stuff before you get ready to get home. When you get home, man, the merry-go-round is going so fast, you think you're going to come out here and it's going to be peaches and cream? Man, everything is moving so fast. Time is flying. So you're going to come out here in a whirlwind, man, and you're not going to be able to adjust. If you're not ready, you're going to have to hit the ground running, man, when you're released. You know what I'm saying? So you can't come out and think people that are going to hand you anything or going to give you anything, man. The system is not going to give you anything. It gave you just what it wanted to give you that time. So if you get a second opportunity, man, if you get a second chance or a second opportunity at freedom, you know, and I always tell people when I talk to them, man, freedom is when preparation meets opportunity. So if you prepared yourself while you were incarcerated, you know, forget what you did to get there. If you get the opportunity to become free again, if you prepared yourself while you've been incarcerated, then you can be successful when you come home, man. There are people out here that are waiting, willing, and ready to help you to get back on your feet. But you can't keep doing the same thing inside that you did outside and think that you're going to magically give that stuff up once you get outside. That's the trick of the system, man. It wants to keep you in that cycle of criminal activity and criminal thought to where you're going to remain. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, yeah. Yeah, and so I just wish and hope that everybody, again, man, I want to pray for the families of the young man, Terry, that committed suicide up in East Mississippi, EMCF. You know what I mean? I want to pray for the men and women who are on lockdown in the state of Mississippi and throughout the United States, but specifically my home state here. I want to pray for the families of a reentry warrior, Symmetra Freeman, you know, who made her transition on November 28th, man. We lost her. She helped a lot of people in the state. You know what I mean? She had her own ways. You know, I don't have anything bad to say about her, but I just want to pray for her family, man, and hope that, you know, they find peace and comfort doing her services and stuff. Her funeral is going to be December 14th. And her wake is going to be December 13th in San Antonio. The film is going to be in DeSoto County. And I want to, you know, pray for the men and women who are at Parchman. And I want to see some, I won't say heads roll, but I want to see somebody held accountable, man, for somebody being escaping on a Saturday in the public in the Mississippi Delta, not finding out to the day. You know what I mean? And so, man, I just ask that you continue to pray for, you know, pray for me and my family. You know, pray for the men and women, you know, who are incarcerated, man, and uplift those. Anybody, if you can help somebody, man, do the Jesus thing and give them a hand. If you don't do anything but pray for them, you know what I'm saying? Man, reach out to me. If you got something to say, you can reach out to me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, whatever that meant, you know, Ralph or whatever, you can reach out to me. One thing about it, I don't mention anybody's name unless they ask me to. That's the first thing. The second thing is, you know, it doesn't matter whether you trust me or not. You know what I mean? I know who I am. You know, so you can't. As simple as that. So just take care. What's up, little brother? You doing all right? You know, but long story short, man, keep your head up. You know what I mean? Batman, it's time for you to catch the Marvel Express and ride on back out to West Point. I don't know if that's the hub, but you seen the bat signal. They're calling you home, man. And Major Medical is not going to save you for this disaster. You know what I mean? Because I know the rabbit hole runs a whole lot deeper than people think. And so you've done enough. You know, you've done enough that should land you at 29. But long story short, man, yeah, it's time for you to hit it. Pray for me like I pray for you, man. You guys take care. I appreciate you listening. Share and like the video. Leave me a comment. You have a question, I promise to get back to you. You have something you want to say, man, inbox me. I'm approachable, and people can tell you that. The only thing I have is my word. You know what I mean? So take care. Be blessed. All right, brother. Love you too, man. Give the family my blessing, man. Can't wait to see you. We got to start that karate school down here in Mississippi at Shaw, Mile Bayou 1. The Marvel Express. Yeah. You see the bat signal. Just look out your window right now. The bat signal is calling them home. And Major Medical. I've never known Batman to go on Major Medical, but you know, there's a first time for everything. There's a first time for everything. The Marvel Express. Yeah, not at the helm. Man, get out the way. What my boy said? Move, get out the way. Let somebody else have it. Yeah, take care. And that's what y'all should be pushing for and everything too. What's up, Whitney? How y'all doing? Be blessed, man. Love you guys. Take care.